Alright, today I got a 2006 Ford Freestar van that has a few different problems going on with it. Most noticeably is a rough idle, a bit of rough idle, like a balance type issue, and it has some low-end power issues and some high-end power issues with the engine. And eventually the check engine light popped on here, and a P2004 was set, and that's for the IMRC valves, which actually make the intake seem larger or smaller, depending on the RPM range, are actually stuck open at setting for. So what I'm going to show you today is why they're sticking open and how to fix it on the cheap. And there's not much disassembly required, and it's definitely not a dealer thing where you got to bring it in to get it changed out. You can do it right there in the driveway. What's happening is the bushings, just like the old Windstars and the 3.8, they disintegrate and that linkage falls off, and then it gets either stuck or it'll just sit there and move freely back and forth, and it'll never set a code. Whereas this one actually got hooked behind the bracket, so it's stuck, so the little electronic actuator is trying to move both sides, can't move anymore, so it thinks the bank one is stuck open. Alright, so up here right behind the alternator right here is the actual bracket right here, and then it's got a hole in it for the bushing, and you can see the bushing and the linkage right here. There it goes. Has actually fallen out, so the linkage is free to move around, and it's not ever actuating this runner in here. And you can see before I touched it how it was hooked behind here. Therefore, the other side's actuator on bank 1 was never able to move. Now, once all the old pieces of the bushing are out of there, you just simply snap the new one into place. It's a round bushing and a square hole. I'll show you a little bit better on the bench over here on the back side of the actuator, because the actual electrical actuator that's right here, same thing, man. It's the heat, and it gets to the plastic, it becomes brittle, and they break off, and they're all the same part number, and they're all going to fail eventually. If you're in here repairing this one, you'll probably start breaking them off on the actuator, so it'd be best to just get a full set of 4 and change them all out, and they'll be good for another 100,000. Here you can see the bushing best. You can see how it's all squared up on there for that square hole, and then the inside here is actually round. So it's very important to line up these flats. Now, snapping these in, they are tight fits. Just make sure the flats are lined up in the square box there, and push it and it'll snap in nice and tight. It'll be flush all the way around. And then your linkage itself actually just snaps right into it. And then give it a little bit of tug, and you'll be able to tell it's not going to pop out, and of course it's free to pivot on there. Same thing with this side. Here's the part number for the bushings themselves. They are very expensive, and it does take 4. They are all the same. And I'll also put this down in the description down below with all the other information. Now, once you've gotten in here, cleaned all the old bushings out, put the new ones in and all that stuff, make sure you get in here and move the actual valve, the runner, back and forth. Make sure it's pretty much free, and there'll be slight drag to it, but with light finger pressure, it should go back and forth to the stops here. And make sure both of them are working before you reconnect that electrical actuator to them. Alright, just for reference, this is how the linkages go back on, in case yours fell off on you when you're trying to take this actuator out. This one goes to the front bank here on bank 2. There's the electrical connector, which also faces up on the engine when this is bolted back up. And then this one goes to the rear bank. You can see the curve there and how it goes, and you can also identify the ends that actually go into the actual valves themselves by that little nub that sticks out right there. The other side of this linkage does not have that. That's just for the side with the butterfly valves there for the IMRCs. So that's another way to identify them, but this is the orientation. Alright, I'll try to get you in here so you can see the finished product and how yours should look in the end. Here's the top part of it here. You can see the rod there. You can see the rod over here and the angle to it. Make sure they're all snapped in. And you can see the curve of that one. And then it goes back and over and snaps in back here. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is a self-test on the PCM that will actuate the actuator on here. You can see how the system kind of works. And we're starting to self-test now. And like I said, this concern dates back all the way to the Windstars of the 3.8 liter. So this video will cover a lot of model years. It is quite common, especially nowadays with these things having tons of miles on them, many summers through them where the heat just makes those bushings brittle as can be. And they will start falling off randomly. And like I said, once you go to fix one, you're probably going to start cracking off the other ones. So you might as well get all 4 new ones, change them out, and be done with it, and they should last another 100,000, and you'll be set to go. So glad I got this video out there. This probably affects a lot of people. Yours may have fallen off and you don't even know it yet. There's no code yet set on there, and it's something to look into because it does affect performance and idle and all that stuff. And this is just another one of those subjects that are very common, a common concern on Fords checked off the list here.